Hello, hello. Welcome aboard. Welcome to station WBMCT, Black Middle Class Talk. My name is CC. I'm here with my co-host, EB. Another week, another adventure in life and the black middle class, whatever that is. But if you have an idea what it is, call us and let us know. Email us at bmct2026@gmail.com and let us know that because we just black people and African Americans or whatever you want to refer to us. And we just got a little podcast here. We're going to kind of extend our thoughts and ideas. You don't really hear from people like us on the talking heads on the TV. We're just common people talking about common everyday subjects. Black people, we got what they say, skin in the game in this American, they call it an experiment. I wish they had put us on the top of the experiment and while they was making the experiment, but we always seem to come out on the bottom, but we're doing fine. So that's what we're going to discuss. In my opinion, we're hanging in there. I can say we're doing fine. that's a matter for debate. But as we always do in our format of the show, we always talk about domestic and international news on the front end for 15 minutes. And then we'll continue that discussion for the next quarter of 15 minutes. And then we're going to talk about today's subject is tribalism. We discussed that last week, and we're going to do a part 2 of tribalism because some of these subjects, they can carry on, and some of them will loop back around another time. But I think we kind of could add a little bit more to that. And then at the end there, we'll talk about, for the last 15 minutes of the show, we'll talk about entertainment. Today, the Oscars was a big thing this week, so we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. But, EB, you always bring a good subject for us on the domestic and international news. And sometimes domestic is your part. I'm supposed to be international, but as you always tend to walk right into the international news because it's all conjoined there. But what are your thoughts on today?
Well, the domestic news that I have is like you say, it's a whole salad bowl as of all these different subjects that we can talk about, and all of them kind of intertwine with each other. One is that we're talking about is, I guess sometime I, get personal, and I try not to on this show, but, last week we had a Air Force airplane go down, and it killed 6 of airmen. I was prior military, and I was in the Air Force. Anyway, the part about it that kind of twerked me the wrong way is that someone asked President Trump about the 6 individuals that was killed, and he swayed away from the conversation. One of the reporter asked him a question about that, and he said, "Next question." You talking about the total disrespect that he has for, and he stayed even in that same conversation. He said there's nobody better for the military than me, and I think that's a lie. I'm not in the military anymore, but then again, I see what it is that he does for the military and veterans. It's been a big lie that, that the one that he's selling to America about all the other things, but him being for the veteran, that's another lie that he's telling. And then you tie that into the war in Iran, because those people was over in that area when they plane was crashed. And then, they keep saying is that the war could be over within a week. Mm-hmm. War could be over in a couple weeks. But, like I said last week, is that we've been given like 5 different reasons, probably more, of why we're in this war. But ain't none of them set well with me as far as like the imminent threat. And then I, heard this morning Tulsa Gilbert over Intel, and she said, this is our intel. She said is that the intelligence community is not the one to decide if it's an imminent threat. The president did. And then the same thing that Pete Hegseth said, he's saying is about the war. He said, how will we determine? He said the president would turn. And then when they asked the president, you know what he said to the American people? I have to feel it in my bones This man's 70-something years old. You know, I hate to think.
But didn't Johnson, didn't his I don't know, his minion, didn't he say, well, the intelligence is in his bones? The intelligence is in his bones. That's what I'm being facetious.
You talking about President
Johnson? No, Speaker Johnson.
Speaker Johnson. Okay, gotcha.
That's the way he responded to. Responded to
his comment.
The comment, and he said, "Intelligence is in his bones." I don't know why he would. It's getting insulting. We're past the point of insulting, and you were talking about how you personalize, and you try not to personalize it, and because you're a veteran, and the Air Force veteran is that it kind of short circuits your thought. This is all I want to talk about, and that's right, because what'd you say? 6 people are dead. 6 people are dead, and you can't get that back.
No.
And the insulting part is that it didn't have to happen. It's unforced error. I can see it was a legitimate thing. This guy, from his own words, he says that this is an excursion.
Right.
That's the word he used. Excursion.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're going on a picnic here today, and then we're going to accept you get to sit in the White House while I get shot at and fall 30,000 feet from the air while you sitting there talking about how you feeling stuff in your bones.
Right.
But I didn't mean. But
no. That's fine. No, those are good points. And the one also that really irks me is that somebody, he's saying he don't know who, took a picture of the dignified transfer when they was bringing those folks back, and they took a picture. And the angle that they took a picture going across the top of the casket with the people carrying it, and it was a direct line to Trump up there saluting, and they used that picture to fundraise.
Right, and I saw that too, and I could say that this is low down, dirty stuff.
Yes.
And he's standing there with his hat on, his political hat, 45, 47, the white one. I don't know what happened to the red one. But it's stupid just the same. That tin cap, stupid. It's almost like that's what they say. Do you remember how the Ku Klux Klan would wear the hoods?
Right.
This is just a way of taking the hood off and showing your face under the disguise of I'm a political activist, I guess, a campaign person. Right. But that's all that is a mini replica of the hood, and that's what I see it as. And the reason why I say that is the evidence is there. The racism is there. We're not black people. We don't get this. I guess maybe some of us do get this option of opting out when it comes to racism. I guess you can. Clarence Thomas, Tim Scott seem to be doing a good job. But it's clear that the racism is right there in your face.
Right.
Yeah, I think for black people, we've been vindicated. Don't tell them this is not racism and this is, please. Everybody's intelligence is insulted who has intelligence. If you have intelligence, you have gotten to have, if you haven't been insulted in this administration yet,
keyword.
Yet, if you haven't been insulted yet, first of all, just hold on. I see once. And by the way, we were supposed to be on domestic news. We'll swing back to that because this is really. I see he had another person resign yesterday. Yes. Who was that resigned?
This guy, I think. What was his name? Dent.
I mean, what was his position?
They say it's a made-up position. He was director of counterintelligence.
Okay, so he was under Tulsa Gabbard, as you were saying.
Right. But then again, now, and this is one of the Trump loyalists. That's why Trump appointed him to that position. And the issue with it is not. But that's just how that's his playbook. Once you fall out, he was weak on security. But this is the man. Oh yeah. And if he had not, the dude say, all it does to me is show somebody with a backbone. Is that this man say he cannot, within good conscience, continue when he know that Iran was not an imminent threat to the United States?
I think I'm not. First of all, as you said, you used the word loyalist, and that he's a Trump loyalist. That means he's took the players to be loyal to Trump, right? And then he comes about, he couldn't take it no more because I'm not giving him all that praise because it looked like to me he had a chip on his shoulder for the Jews. That was his problem. He's more, and I just happened to notice that there was a big splinter in the MAGA again, and I think it comes down to the Jewish thing, because like I say, racism is right out front, and that's where they're in conflict at. You know, the Jews, because Jews are right next to where I came from, the era I came from. Jews were right next to black people as far as their status when it comes to racism and white racism, and so the way he wrote that resignation letter, and like you said that was an appointed position, which I did not know. And you said he was a loyalist, but he wrote that resignation letter in such a way. First of all, you're right. He blasted the intelligence and said we shouldn't even be there. They pose no threat to the United States, which anybody could see. That was clear to me. Aside from you blew up their stuff last year. Or was that earlier this year?
Last year. Obliterated. Year. No, they don't blow up. You might make sure you say the right word now.
Thank you for that.
And I look up the obliteration, and that's total.
Exactly. Now we're back. Left. So we already know the lies. And the lies are so good, I just threw my hands up. I just don't believe anything anybody out of that administration says. Even the stuff I like. Because I did like the part where he said that they pose no imminent threat, and why are we doing that? I like that part, but the part like with the Jews, well, you sound like you got a grind to fix as far as that. But it has a speck of truth to it. I mean, we're fighting an Israeli war,
right? Exactly. And that's what the guy said, is that we was in that war because of Israel. But then again, Trump don't never want to be recognized as being weak or being second. So that's why he said, no, I'm the one that, that Israel was following him.
Right. Yeah, he's so weak, though. I mean, he's the weakest president we ever seen. Right. Even this thing now, you got yourself in some trouble. The same, what would they call them, our allies that you didn't consult before. Now all of a sudden you found yourself in a bind. You're calling out to them, help. And they're not showing up. Oh, I need them anyway.
Exactly.
We got to just take it. Come on, dude. You're embarrassing the United States of America. We got a leader who's obviously in over his head, don't know what he's doing, and the people around him, the qualified, experienced people are gone. Now he's got unqualified people in qualified places. And by the way, when this administration is over, when this regime passes, I don't want to hear another word about being qualified or unqualified for a job. Exactly. I mean, that conversation is over. I know they're still going to have it, because every time a black person shows up for an application or a job, is he qualified?
Right. Yep, exactly.
I don't want to hear that no more. That horse done left the barn. Yeah, right. We've never seen such unqualified people in high places. And that's why you get people dead, because people are ignorant in their position of their job, don't know how to do it, and shouldn't even be there in the first place, getting those six-figure salaries out of tax dollars. Well, meanwhile, we're being sold out, treason all over the place. Russia knows where our soldiers are, just right there. Yeah, hit that, put it right on top of that place out in the middle. Did you see that shack they were in? It was a makeshift post. The other airman that got killed.
You're talking about the one in Kuwait.
Were they in Kuwait?
In Kuwait?
Yeah, okay. It's a makeshift.
Well, I'm saying, but they had, even though that area is considered combat, hostile, but then again, it was never, because I was in Kuwait, and like I said, it was never a threat.
Right.
It was never a threat. But like say, Iran has been there for years, but it was never a threat that they would attack.
Yeah.
And so that's why.
And so let's on the other side of the break, let's transition back to domestic news, because we do have some domestic issues going on. And so we'll take a quick break, come back on this 15-minute break, come back, we'll talk about domestic news.
All right.
right, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, that was a good discussion on international news and the war. Emotional for veterans. I'm a veteran too. It is an emotional thing when you see people being set up like that and dying like that. So we'll that discussion will be hot for the next, I don't know, years, I guess. It only gets worse. But coming to the domestic news, with the tariffs, right? And with the airlines, with the budget, Department of Homeland Security is not being funded, right? And TSA is not being funded. There's long lines from what I see on the newscast. There's long lines at their airlines, at the airports. And so look like we got a mess right here, a self-inflicted wound once again by one man. One administration is turning America upside down. He's in everybody's heads. Because if you go to the airport and you see them long lines, you know what's in your head. They're like, golly, man, you can't escape this man. You go to the gas pump, the gas is going up. What's your gas? What you pay lately?
$4.79.
$4.79. Oh, God. So the gas is going up. So this man is going to be in your head. He's in everybody's head. For the young people, this example of, we used to have this, the president of the United States was like the standard of America, what they call that, exceptional. The exceptional.
He's standard bearer.
Standard bearer of the United States. And to be honest, I think that still applies. The president is the standard bearer of the United States because what? He got elected. 75 million people checked the box. Probably 74 check the other box. But because we're a democracy, the people with the 74.8 million versus the 75 million, guess which way we're going? We're going with the 75 million. By the way, I don't discount the voter suppression. I don't discount the people that don't show up. 90 million eligible voters don't even show up. So, but under the system that we live in, this man came out the bracket. Guess what he represents? The United States of America. And of course we're all embarrassed. Of course we're all insulted. The world is. So, but back to the domestic news, the man is in our heads.
Yep, you're right. And how he have changed the whole dynamics. He gets on TV the other day and talking about Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom has a learning disability, and he spoke about it in his book.
Dyslexic.
Right. Yeah. But then again, he gets on there and say that, I just don't think that I don't want my president to be somebody with a learning disability. You can't find nobody with a worse learning disability than this man.
Right.
I mean,
and the learning disability, you compare that to character. I'd rather have a learning disability than a bad character where I'm stealing and robbing and killing people, literally. Well, I mean, I'll take that learning back. I think he's dyslexic. But the character of the man, he knows the issues. He knows what people need. He knows his role in government.
Right.
He understands how government works. I mean, he can't be too his learning disability can't be too bad. I mean, he's the governor of California. It looked like he may have a good chance of being the president of the United States if we get another election.
Right.
Although I'm going to be honest with that, it's going to be a crowded field with the president.
It do. It's so crazy. Yesterday we was driving and he say, do we vote in this election? I'm just saying is that I used to see all the commercials on TV and all, but like I say, I was like, and then we just driving by the place, say, let's go vote. And we just drove up there, gave our information, was in and out of there in less than 5 minutes, right? Is that what is wrong with that process? And what Trump is saying is that you need to be able to give it that new Save American Act.
Yeah.
Is that you need a passport or your birth certificate. Like you saying, how many Americans, they said it the other day, how many Americans that don't have passports and how many people know what their birth certificate is. So this thing already in place, and then that's the way that it could be an easy transition, but they don't want to make it easy. They want to make it different, like you said, baby, dropping people off the road, is that they want to make it so easy. And it's one of these things that I was very confused on, is that, especially in Florida, is that a felon cannot vote. But I don't know if that's changed. I'm just saying.
Okay, let me jump on that since you
okay.
brought that up. But and I think what happened in Florida, that was the case at one point.
Okay.
Oh, but the story is a long story.
Okay.
Because the people started voting, right? Ex-felons got their right to vote through the legislature. That by law, they could vote. And they went out. I don't know which era it was, if it was the first Trump era or maybe it was the last where Obama was in. But after the election was over, guess what Florida does? They started prosecuting people for voting illegally.
Oh, wow.
In other words, they wasn't even obeying their own law. They did it anyway, but it was for show. Of course, the charges, it made the evening news, people getting arrested. What do you think happened with those charges?
They was dropped.
They were dropped. Mission accomplished. You scared people so bad, they wouldn't even, because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing also that you wanted to throw in there. This is not new to black people now. This is just Jim Crow, American, across the board Jim Crow. Basically, women, those were going to, in that SAVE Act, if it gets passed, is it the SAVE Act or
Save America Act?
SAVE, S-A-V-E.
Yeah.
Safe. Safe, S-A-F-E.
Yeah, S-A-F, yeah, S-A-F-E.
SAFE Act.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's safe for is the white male bigots. That's where we started as America. There used to be in the beginning that only the rich white males could vote. They own property, own people. And then as we get 200 years later, and that's why I say America is built on the back of black people. Because this is just another form of voter suppression on steroids. But hopefully it won't get passed.
Yeah, but coming back,
Go
good
ahead.
news as far as from speaking on voting is that last night Julianne Stratton won the Democratic nomination. It was like say money don't always. Well, I guess money do it because he had the biggest war chest. He had like $30 million. Roger, Roger had 30. Yeah, had the big check. He spent 3 times what the other did, but she had the backing of Pritzker.
Okay, and he's a billionaire.
Yeah,
as we
right,
know.
exactly.
And for people that don't know, because not everybody lives in Illinois, what we had was the Senate seat. There's a Senate seat, federal Senate seat, open in Illinois, because Dick Durbin, who was our senator, every state gets 2 senators, by the way. Everybody, civics lesson there. Dick Durbin, one of our senators, is retiring, so that seat is open. In opening that seat, we have a lieutenant governor who's running for that seat. We got two representatives. That's running for that seat. Now getting to you,
ran for that seat.
Ran for that, yeah,
right.
ran.
Okay.
So you're right, Julius Stratton won. But to your point, where did all this money come from? Because Rajana seemed to be in the lead, the money, and that's where these super PACs come in. That's a good discussion because it is domestic. We didn't stumble into a domestic thing we need to discuss. There's a big money in politics now. Yes. I mean, it's been that way since the Supreme Court said money talks, so money is speech. We used to joke about that.
Right.
Supreme Court took it to another level.
Right.
That, money talks. So what happens is our governor is a billionaire. What he did was our governor forms his own super PAC. This is super PAC as a way of funneling money to your candidate in a secret way. Right. And the Supreme Court set this up big time.
And not challenged.
Yeah, not and that money could be in from anywhere. It could be from Russia, China, Hungary, or anywhere in the world, Iran.
Right.
Because that's why they call it dark money. You hide behind your super PAC. Now, that being said, that you could tell who were the big spenders. In fact, man, this election cycle, there's a lot of money going around because I've gotten so many flyers in the mail. I can make
commercials is the one that did
I can make and those commercials like what, $3 million a shot or something like that.
I'm like, man.
Yeah, so money, and by the way, people don't give you this money because they just feeling good and charity wise. Hey, take this money. And when you win, don't worry about taking care of me.
Right.
Of course not. Trump is just open the floodgates on that. Of course, people are buying politicians. Of course, now, that being said, and I know the black talk because I listen to black radio sometimes. I know people are disgruntled with Pritzker. The word is kind of bullying people with his money and this and that. Well, hey, he didn't write the rules. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Right.
Because when people putting that money out there like that, they expect a return, right?
Because, and the perfect example of it is the president of the United States. All those super PAC that got him elected is that he's paying his debt. He's paying his debt to these defense contractors because he's starting a war. It's just a long laundry list of things that he's paying. That's all super PAC money. He paid back Elon Musk. He paid back Elon Musk because of him getting him. Getting him to win in Philadelphia. So this is a perfect example of what Cece was talking about.
And let me build on that. That war we started with. You know who that's paying back, right?
The defense contractors.
No, the oil companies. The oil companies gave him $1 billion.
Yeah, that too.
Hey, they getting there. I thought they were set with the Venezuelan thing. I figured you guys stole 2 tankers of oil,
right,
and parked them on Texas shoreline, right. Emptied them out. Right. Maybe give them their ship back at least. Right. But I'm just saying that's the oil companies. They're being paid back, and I think this thing in Iran had something to do with that too. But I'm not sure. But that might be Jared Kushner with the Saudis because he took $1 billion, $2 billion from them in advance on the last election. I think he's asking for more because basically what has happened is that somebody in the Far East, be it Netanyahu or the Saudis, the bone spur guy, the bone cutter guy, somebody has hired the U.S. military to do this war because it was not a popular one. Nobody was on board with it. I think Jared Kushner is another. I mean, they just got a whole what they call a drift now. It's a con. Another word for drifting is con. And but did you want to add anything more to that, man, before we go to the break?
No, like you say, it's just all they say. That, like you say, don't hate the player, hate the game. Is that if somebody else is making up the rules in the game. And then you learn the rules, and then you start to learn how to play them better than they is. Then they're going to change the rules. So,
you talking about black people?
He said, here we are. No, I'm just saying is that the rules was already set. So you're saying is that money can be out there, and you ain't got to be accounted for it. In other words, people can slide money in there. So now that other people, to include black people, are learning how that game is played. The rules already been set, but now that they are learning how to play it, then they gonna change the rules. And that's the same thing that that all the other things that we can have a whole show on nothing but Trump, but I don't want to give him all that airspace, because he don't rent no space in my head. He used to. But he don't no more.
He's a squatter.
Yeah, that's right. Because he don't pay rent.
Yeah, he's a squatter. Yeah, we gotta get him out.
Don't let him rest in your head because he is not gonna pay rent. Exactly.
Okay.
But that's all I got.
Well, we come back and he's in my head. So we'll come back. We'll talk about tribalism, and we're gonna look at the definition, and we're gonna discuss that a little bit.
More.
All right, we're back. So our definition, our subject for today off the topic board is tribalism. We discussed this a little bit last week, but I couldn't get the definition. I didn't have up clearly, so I'll get out the producer here to fade in that definition. I'm on because it's going to tie in. So the tribalism definition that we pulled up definition. Tribalism is a strong loyalty, allegiance, or devotion to one's own group, tribe, or social group, often creating a deep us versus them mentality. Is a human tendency rooted in social identity and survival instincts where people prioritize their group interests, often defined by shared culture, language, and ideology. So that definition, your tribe and social group, the us versus them mentality. Now, last week we talked about the American tribe. We're citizens of America, right? So we can consider that as a allegiance or devotion to one's own group, American citizens, right? We say the Pledge of Allegiance. Do you say the Pledge of Allegiance? Right? You've
yes.
done that, right?
Before.
But so that's even in the when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you say you start out. I pledge allegiance to the flag, right? That's an allegiance. So, and we all do it. Black people stand up, white people stand up, Asian people stand up, Hispanic people stand up generally, and we go to in general. And so that you made allegiance to Americans. So you're part of the American tribe. You're an American citizen. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. But the real way, the general way, should I say, that we look at it is in our group. And our group could be Italian. It could be Jewish. It could be Latino. And it could be black, of course, we're black. You generally go with that tribe, right?
Right.
That's where you're from. And you know the culture of your tribe. If you're Jewish and Latino, you know the food that you eat, this and that, and so forth, and the music that you listen to. That's a social group, I would say, your tribe. But when we get to this us versus them mentality, that's where I think we have to be careful, because that's what we always been as black people. We're very familiar with this tribalism thing, because what happened with black people, as I mentioned last week, we are really different tribes thrown into one without our consent, so to speak. We're just black people thrown together. And that's what we make this African American culture here in America. And that's why I take kind of exception to when people say we are immigrants. By definition, we are not immigrants here. Just look up the definition of an immigrant, and it doesn't say a stolen people from a land. That's just, when you look up the definition. I could have brought that up. So what I'm saying, our culture, black culture, we have different groups within the group, but there's no way around it. We're just black people. We're African Americans. Now, go ahead.
No, I say you say we in a group is that, we have different, but like we talked about last week, is that when we came over to America, is that we came over here with, I just throw a rough number, 20 different tribes, all combined into one. So when you say that about us being black people, like I told you, that we always been put in that one circle, that we all, and then you say that us against, in the definition you say us against them, is that it's all, and the reason why that we've taken that on, in my opinion, is because it was always, that's the same mentality they had. They always felt that they had to maintain superiority. So it is us against all them.
And them being white people?
No, I'm saying,
I'm just asking.
Okay, no. When I made the statement, I was saying is that the reason why you're saying that us against them is that because it's almost like it's defensive mode, is because that's the way that they've always seen. It's us, all the whites, against them. So, and so being that that's coming to us, what do we do in response to that? So, right. So that's why, and that's why they always say that black people are that we're very distrustful of white people. Mm-hmm. And the history would tell that's the reason why.
Right.
But I'm saying, but you're going back to what you think about with the tribalism, is that within this group, black people, you got all these different makes of tribes in there, and you say showing allegiance to it. You said there's allegiance within the group. You know what I'm saying? You probably say in is that I just say in your job, it's a group of you all that's just like drinking coffee every day. So all of y'all go and meet up because y'all have all this, and then y'all probably talk about the same thing. So there's groups within group. The group is the business. That's a tribe. And everybody come inside this business, it's a tribe. So you go in there, you showing allegiance to it, you showing loyalty to it. So it could be the example can be used in a whole lot of different ways.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, for as what we're talking about here, as far as black, when you made the statement, I was just making sure that I said is that within our tribes, is that we're all black. But within the tribe, you have different breakdowns of groups.
Right, and I'm glad
tribe and a tribe.
I'm so glad you jumped in there and said that, because you're right. That's a good example. And we may be stretching that a little bit, but let's get down to the meat and potatoes. The tribe within the tribe, black people.
Okay.
And I think that's where we have different opinions. We look different. Sometimes I identify my genetics by looking at somebody else's features. Sometimes, because that's really all we got. But even within black people,
right?
And I think they always say that black people can't get along, that, black on black crime, that we always got to take these negative stereotypes and this and that. We take that burden because of this social construct that we've been put in. Now, where we are today is not where we were at 200 years ago, or
that's true.
250 years ago when we got off the ship. But I just wanted to make that example that we are different people within the people. But that's all gone. I guess that's why. Let me just sum up what I want to say. And the reason why I bring this up is we in this situation when you talk about the guys that are in your head, but he is, because this man has put us back as far as the social construct in people's heads.
But you said, just think about the statement that you just made.
Okay.
You said I said to you that he's not in my head, but you saying but he is. Make me know how you can say to me that Trump is in my, I'm telling you that he's no longer in my head. I don't let him rent no space. He used to rent a lot of space in my head, but Trump is, I'm not affected anymore with Trump. I was like, so because the thing that you saying that scary is that it becomes normal. And it's not that it's normal, but then again, where we are as a society is that how are we going to stop that? So why would, they never let anything bother you that you don't have no control of?
Now, when we started the show,
okay,
and you started out on the show, you said that I usually don't get personal.
Right.
But I got to talk about this, and it was good. You said the 3 airmen that six.
Right.
6 airmen that were killed in Iran or whatever they
Right.
And then you did attribute it to the man in your head, but you said it's not in your head anymore. Did you drop him before? Before the show or somewhere after you made that? When you made that statement, did you drop him after that?
No. I started out saying is that I was affected personally about the fact that I was a former airman in the United States Air Force, and the fact of sort of the disrespect. I'm talking about the position. I'm not talking about the man. Is that what he did as far as like being the president? How he was disrespectful to that. So you're saying is that rent that space, that particular space is that's what I was troubled about. But you saying that he's renting, he's probably rented. He's not renting a space in my head. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by that. But go ahead.
Okay, all right, because I just. Okay,
I ain't mean to throw you off, but
no, there was another point that I was going to build on that, because I think inadvertently he can't help but be. That's why I threw those examples out there. But the back to the tribalism,
right?
Because this is where I want to go to. Who was that general, that black general that was the Joint Chief of Staff? He was the black guy. What was his name? Brown. Right. C.Q. Brown, right?
C.Q. Brown.
Was he in our tribe?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yes.
But he was out of their tribe. When he came in the Pentagon, that's your example, not a corporation, but still same concept. Right. The Pentagon, it comes in there, different people in this building, but they all one, right?
Right.
Trump comes in, said females, black people, and any Latinos, I guess brown people that might be hanging around here, are no longer, he didn't say this verbatim, but it seems like they're not welcome in this tribe of the military under his leadership, Hess says, and which is Trump.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I get what I'm thinking is that what they're saying is that you can be in the tribe, but you can't be in that tribe in that position. That's what I'm getting from, and that's why because Hesed talked about Brown even when he was a TV host, he was talking about DEI.
Okay. Right, DEI.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Right,
DEI push you out of the tribe.
Right. Okay.
If you're in the DEI, with diversity, equity, and inclusion, if you're in that tribe, I guess, you're out. Yeah. In other words, this is just another form of racism. I'm using tribalism, but we can go at a different level now. The level I really want to get to is amongst black people that, as you pointed out with Robin Kelly, Julian Stratton, the two black females in the race for Illinois Senate, and the term always comes up in Chicago that the black one black person will dilute the other black person's vote. In other words, you're splitting the vote. Right. And so that's the situation we have in our tribe, that we got two black people running for the same position, and we got a third person who's not just happen to be brown, but we split the vote in our tribe, and we ain't got to the issues, by the way, because there is none, because everybody's, that's another story for another day, the way politics is run. But we come down to our tribe, and we got two black females in the tribe, and of course the lieutenant governor won, and the other one, but the other one didn't do so well. But the situation is such the same. When we have those, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's an issue amongst black people? Or should Robin Kelly say, hey, you got the big money, I'm going to step back? Well, she should say, this is freedom and liberty. You people vote for who they want to vote for. Why should I be concerned about what the tribe is talking about?
But if you go to the definition of the tribalism, is that you're saying strong loyalty, allegiance, devotion of one group or tribe. Okay, so if you're looking at it from that perspective,
what is it? Strong
loyalty, allegiance, or devotion to one own group or tribe or social group, right? If we approach it from that angle with the Stratton and Kelly, is that one would have, if you're going with tribalism, one would have saying is that you have a better chance at achieving this, and I will support you coming with the tribe.
Yes.
But because you got the people that have within the tribe, some just have their own little agenda because, she was in Congress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, she's a representative.
Right, she's a representative. So she gave that up to pursue that. Somebody, I don't know if it was in the tribe, said to her that maybe you should try to run for Senate because it was an open seat. But then again, I'm being honest with you. When it first started, I thought it was Roger hand down because Roger started doing commercials. Roger started doing commercials last year, and the other one didn't come on till right at the end of the year. And so she didn't really have that much longer. But then again, I heard their ground game was good. But anyway, coming back to the thing as far as like in the tribe, is that the way that I go by the definition, one of them should have said, okay, you got my support. But then again, how do you decide which one?
Right. And the tribe.
Within the tribe.
And all we did just brought up the issue. We don't have no solution, but that's the issue. I don't have an answer for that because I think it takes leadership, which we don't really have on like Jesse Jackson, the national leader who can come into the tribe as an elder. And by the way, do we have eldership in the tribe? I know we're getting a little bit past the break, but do we have eldership in the tribe?
That's what we talked about last week.
Julian Stratton and Kelly that can come and say, hey, sit down with them and have a... Right. But you have to do this beforehand now.
Right, yeah,
you have to know who's running.
Right.
And so do we have a person like that can come between and say the stakes are high today? That we're on the brink of disaster as far as democracy. We need, a black person to represent the tribe, our tribe, because we've been getting beat down for 200 and something years. Who do we have anybody like that?
No, we don't. Because we talked about that last week. Is that we was talking about, where's our John Lewis? Where's our Malcolm X? Where's our, so MLKs, But, I said is that they always want to feel that they have. Just thought about it. Perfect example. You see how Trump is saying now that he should have a say in who leads Iran?
Okay, yeah.
That's the exact same thing that they do in the United States. They feel like they have some say in who to pick to be a leader of our tribe. At one time,
you're saying the outside influence.
That's what I'm saying. The whites, exactly. Okay. So in other words, so if they have a hand, and that's why that they saying if I got a hand in that, I can drive how they act or how they react, and so and that's why a lot of people feel that the whites said, hey, because they had investigated King and they knew all that stuff that they bringing up on King, and they've been knowing that for years. But then again, they used that to say, hey, between the two of Martin Luther King, of Malcolm X, we gonna put this guy up because this guy here say, turn the other cheek. This guy over here said, if you strike me, I'm gonna strike you back.
Okay.
So is that having that outside influence?
Okay.
That's why and then they have plants and everything else.
And curiosity.
What's that?
Real quick, what do you think about Hakeem Jeffries in the tribe? Hakeem Jeffries, Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House. Excuse me, Minority Leader. Soon to be, hopefully, Speaker of the House if Democrats win.
Hakeem Jeffries. Is that my take on him? Is that he's in a position, but I think me personally, I think he do a lot of missteps. That's just me. Is that how
is he weak? Weak. You think he's strong? You think he's weak?
Well, he's middle ground, right?
Ground?
Because a lot of people feel is that a lot of the moves that they made between him and Schumer is that like they got the government shut down for the DHS part. That can turn on them.
Okay, but as far as Hakeem, you think he's?
I'm saying McCain is a majority of the House. So in other words, he has to make
a strong leader that could
because he's
come
the one
sit down. Is he the type leader that can come sit with Julian Stratton and Kelly and say, hey guys, we need to win this seat.
Exactly.
Is he the type? Is he the guy to do that? Can he do that?
Yeah, I guess that he has the ability to have that conversation, but I don't know whether he has that influence.
That's what
to me, at this point right now, the only person that I feel that I think that has that clout is Barack Obama.
Okay,
that's my opinion. I think he would be the only one that has that kind of clout. And if you're talking about a leader for the tribe right now, he would be the closest because if you think about it, at one time people actually felt that Bill Clinton. Yeah, but anyway.
All right, we got this last 10 minutes. We went over about 5 there, but that was fine. That was a good conversation. We're going to come back with entertainment. We're going to talk about the Oscars and how did the tribe do in the Oscars, so to speak.
Yeah,
so we'll take a break here and come right back for the last run.
Right. That lady that...
All right, welcome back. Welcome back for the last leg of the P as George Clinton would say, the last leg of the P-Funk. But the last leg, we're going to get into some entertainment. And Oscars were last Sunday, and I watched only a portion of it. But you would know more about it. But you had an interesting. We know Michael B. Jordan won. I think Best Actor, was it?
Yeah. Best Actor in the leading role.
Best Actor in the leading role. He won that. But you brought up in the something that goes with tribalism. You said, go ahead and say what you said.
No, I said that the young lady that won for cinematography is that she came up there and gave us a speech. I didn't know she was black. Like you say, we go back to tribalism, is that, we have different breeds of it, and then again, some of it stands out because
I think a little before you go, when you say you use, what word did you just use? Did you say breeds? Did you? I'm just asking. Did you use the word breed?
Breed, right? I did,
because
within the tribe.
Within the tribe, the word breed, I typically. In other words, it's a difficult conversation, but within the black history, we were, hate to use the word, but we were treated like animals, and we were breeded. You were thrown together with somebody that you wouldn't necessarily be a partner with, right?
Right.
So that's where you get, the light-skinned, the dark-skinned black people, and we always joke about the master going to the, the slave quarters, and then, only so many slaves came over, but then, they came to a point where they made slavery illegal. You can do the math. Anybody can do the math and see. Some of these, and that's where you get the light skin. Let's just cut to the chase. She's light-skinned, almost white. And so...
She got a little bronze to her, but right, I thought she was Hispanic.
But in our tribe, black tribe, we come in different shades, different. We just have to accept that. But as you say, I get uncomfortable with that because, for instance, you were talking about earlier, not on camera, but the guy that's up for the Christian Nome position. He's half Cherokee, they say.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to deal with. Now, you imagine being a Cherokee and you see this guy. I don't, maybe they accept it, but I'm just like, what you were talking about, cinematography person that won. I saw that it's like sometimes when you're so light, you get to opt out. You get to be black when you want to be black. You know what I'm saying? So that gets complicated with me. And you know what I mean? This opting out thing of your shade, and then all of a sudden you want to declare that you black in the good times. Well, what about in the bad times? When, come roll with us when somebody.
Did you tell me this? Are you saying that somebody you told is that when you leave your house?
Oh yeah, it was me.
Okay,
that was me because
I
had a person that we were talking about racism, and I was talking to a Jewish person, and in the conversation, he said. Well, I'm Jewish. I know all the, I've been discriminated. I know about that, this and that. That's what he tried to say to me. But, and I listened. And that's what we should do. We should listen to him. But I had to point out an important thing to him, and that was when he leaves his house, nobody knows he's Jewish. Yeah. When a gay person leaves their house, nobody knows they're gay. You get what I'm saying? But you let me leave my house. Let me walk out my front door. Everybody knows I'm black, and they should know I'm black, and I'm proud. I have no problem with it. But what the problem I have with it is when you see me, you automatically put me in a category. And that happens to me. That happened to me all my life. It's just the way every black person got a story to tell, and I've dealt with it all my life. It ain't going nowhere. And that's the fight, and I'm more appreciative of the struggle of how we got to the point of where we are right now, in the struggle that we're still in. And back to the not to get too far away from the entertainment, but you brought up the cinematography person. I have no problem with her being black. Yeah, she says she's black. But there's a lot of things that come with that. I think, and one of the things of being able to acknowledge, one of the parts of being black is to acknowledge our pain.
Right, and I, with Michael B. Jordan, he won, and I appreciate his speech. because he went up there and he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about is that all the people before him. He called out the names, Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, these people that have won that same war because
Hattie McDaniel, I think she was the first female, wasn't it?
Hattie McDaniel. But see, the thing that I appreciate him acknowledging is that we have to, because sometimes what we run into is that we run into this thing of saying, oh me. And then like I said, that goes against the tribe.
What was unto me?
Yeah, I'm saying that goes against the tribe, so Michael B. Jordan, he represented.
I get you.
He represented the tribe because he's saying is that because of these folks, this is why I'm able to be here today. And so him acknowledging that's the conversation that we had last week when we was talking about the GOAT. Is that when they were saying to acknowledge the folks that came before you, and that's same thing in tribalism, and that same thing as far as like
you give. I mean, cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But you give homage to the ancestors.
Exactly. Yeah,
you respect the ancestors. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up at the last 2 minutes that we got. Are we getting to do elders? Because we're transitioning.
Right.
Me and you, two elders.
Yeah.
Time doesn't go backwards.
We the old uncles now.
And I mean, you talked about how when we were coming up, we gave the elders respect. Exactly. The elders could do no wrong. I mean, there was nothing wrong. They could beat the snot out of us and do this and that, and be the worst drunkard or whatever, or to be the best church person, whatever they were. Elders got their respect, and for us, I think they still do. Do you see that with the younger people? Do they give the elders their credit of the past sacrifices in your experience?
No.
All right.
Because of you just see and going in the store, and they go in there and they cussing up a storm, and then they walk right by an elder and they'll just keep cursing up a storm. Even when we was coming, we all cursed, like I said, hey, we ain't gonna try to make it seem like we was holier than thou. But then again, if we say, darn, the other word, darn, and then we see Miss William over there, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am, then we just go overboard to make them know how apologetic that because I've disrespected you in that way. And that's something that I would never, ever do because, like you said, we wasn't raised that way because it was given to us. Like this tribalism piece, it's got so many angles to it. We could go we can do a whole nother section on this because tribalism, like I say, it carries so many different, because I go to the allegiance and loyalty is that because maybe you've been aware of it, but you can go and know about some secrets that the elders from your era and how they was able, and you'd be like, you think about like that happened then, but then again, but one thing about it, it ain't leaving. The old saying, don't you talk about nothing that goes on in this house. Right. You know what I'm saying? And everything. It's respect. And it goes to this devotion, one's group. And like I said, you ain't letting nothing out of that group, out of that tribe that's going to make that tribe look bad. Or make that tribe not be. Yeah, so.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah.
Sorry we're at the end, man. I could listen to you for another hour. Like I told you, man, we're at the end of the show. Time marches on. But it was a great show. Yeah, man. I like the subject. We can always come back to it. Right. Next week we're going to have another subject, and we just want to encourage anybody out there to hit the subscribe button to join us every Wednesday, 1:30 to 2:30. We discuss various topics. You can email us at bmctusa@gmail.com. And so, go ahead.
And one last thing is that next week topic is Black Americans and Americans' wars.
Black Americans and American wars. Yes. Okay, we'll hit that subject. We look forward to seeing everybody or hearing from anybody. At this point, we're just getting started, and it's a good ride, brother. And I want to speak to the people out there, and I'm going to tell you, since we were talking about tribalism, I'm going to say what I always say to you in closing, as the ancestors would tell you, always, always do the right thing.
Peace. Yeah, I was